All right. Welcome everyone to the webinar today. Please welcome Amir.
Hi guys.
Amir Rudner and myself, Oren Levi. We will having a session today about the webinar about the process that Primis done with AgileSparks. We call it under the hood, the current change process in the SaaS startup. And we'll present some of the changes we made today about the journey. In this session, we have a complete two different views. One view is from the R&D side, VP R&D Amir Rudner, and the other side is from the coach side, Oren. And it will be, you will see the difference in the view point of view. And it's sometimes funny, it's sometimes very realistic. So we'll see how it's going. Let's start.
So this is us. Hi everyone. I'm Amir Rudner, VP R&D at Primis. I've been working at Primis for the last 9 years, and in general, I have a background of at least 15 years at engineering. I started as a backend and full stack engineer, and in the last couple of years, I'm manage R&D people and live like that.
Okay, my name is Oren Levi. I'm an Agile coach at AgileSparks. I'm an Agile coach for the last 3 years. Prior to that, I was an R&D manager, more than 20 years of experience in the high-tech industry, various companies, and then I switched to become an Agile coach. So one of the companies I work with is Primis, and let's hear today how we did.
So a bit, let me introduce you Primis. So Primis is an edtech company, part of the edtech industry. We've been developing a video player. You can see here in the slide an example for our player, our video player integrated in a demo site. So it's a technology that we've been developing. Along with that, we are developing monetization solutions and expert in generating revenue for our clients through this video unit. In addition, we've been developing contextual solution like matching the right content to the right user in the right site. You can see here part of our customers, part of the biggest publishers on earth that we're working with. Primis is part of Mekan. Mekan is the biggest ad company in Israel, and Mekan is part of IPG, one of the biggest companies, one of the biggest edtech companies in the world. And we have a lot of partnerships with the biggest edtech companies like Google, Amazon, The Trade Desk, etc.
Okay, AgileSparks. AgileSparks is established in 2008, and nowadays we are more than 15 coaches. We actually already worked with more than 500 companies, lots of main companies in the industry. We do coaching, training coaching, workshops, seminars, and so on. We mainly do scaled agile implementations. This is our strength. And we also come with not just methodology, we also come with tools and metrics. And we'll see some of them today. And we have our own experience with the tool and metrics, so we provide that as well to our customers.
So let's start. I would like to begin and take you back a year or so ago. give you a picture of what was going on in premise and some of the issues we were facing. So first, the main painful one, we were struggling to deliver on time. ETA was a hard one, and phrase didn't work so well. We couldn't succeed to predict our end dates for delivery, and it was one of the biggest problems we had. In addition, we had a lot of quality issues, a lot of bugs in production, lots of them customers were finding. Communication was an issue, okay? Inside my department, inside the R&D department, and also between the business and the development department. It was really poor. Another one is roadmap. Okay, we had no visible roadmap. We had hard time to expect, or we didn't know what to expect. And it did a lot of trouble. Processes, okay, across all premise, okay, but also in the development group. We had no such processes, how business describe the need and how the product and R&D take it from there. We had no such processes. And in general, everything was urgent. Okay, it relates to the roadmap, everything here and there, do it fast. And this was our situation.
Lot of stress. In part of AgileSparks, actually, we got a phone call, says we need assistance in Jira document. This is how it all started. Amir and product leader was working on some of the processes. There are some issues.
Yeah, we wanted to start with the process, thinking how the process should look like in the Jira. But
but they asked help with the Jira document. It was funny. Once we started to get to know each other, and I asked them a couple of questions, I understand they don't believe they can deliver on time. They don't believe themselves they can deliver on time. They had lots of issues, and the Jira was their least of their problems.
Yes, thank you, Oren. So when we started working together, these are some of the pushbacks that I got when we started. And it's a common and normal stage with a change, and you should expect them. And when you start such a journey, let's go over them a bit. So I felt the need for change. Maybe some others saw it through the company, other managers maybe, but most of our department didn't see it, okay? And they didn't see a reason to change, okay? Things were working a few years, and here and then we had delivery, so we were late, okay, in the ETA, but it was, again, a hard time for the business department, of course. And some even were change blockers, okay? Some didn't, not all humans like change, and some of them were actually stopping us from starting or from progressing in the process. So there were hard time there. Another pushback that we've got was delivery ownership.
Or lack of delivery ownership.
Yeah, lack of delivery ownership. And I needed to help people realize that they needed such one, to see the big picture, that they are part of a bigger thing. The delivery is important as a whole, okay? They're not just developing something, and not just QAing, okay? There should be a good communication between them, and everyone should care about the end delivery. culture. Okay, every company has its culture, and we had one with separated groups. Okay, inside the R&D there were separated groups. Again, no less talking. Okay, not too much talking between one another. Less sharing knowledge. Okay, and this was just part of the wrong culture that we had. In general, we had a lot of uncertainty and stress.
From my point of view, once we started the journey, they said, hey, we need this change tomorrow morning, immediately. We wanted the best in class. I guess some of you are familiar with it. They can't afford to slow down, to learn, to change. Okay. They don't have the time to change because they have lots of production issues right now, and they had lots of production issues. And the management or the senior management is not part of this change. Amir was leading this change with another leader from the product, and the top management or the senior management was not part of this kind of session we started or plan we started.
At least at the start.
At the start, okay? And they say, how can we start? We want it today, we want it tomorrow, and we want it the best in class. We cannot afford to slow down.
Yes. So Oren is also a good friend today. So he settled me down and said that we need to start with goals. Okay, so we started setting goals. You can see here the actual spreadsheet that we managed. Okay, I know it's in Hebrew. Some of you are not Hebrew people, but imagine. Okay, and it's important to set a few goals. Okay, not too much. Okay, you need to focus. We needed to focus ourselves on a few main goals. We needed to prioritize. Of course, we had, I think, 10 or something at the beginning.
At least 10.
Yes, at least 10. And we needed to prioritize them to the most important ones. And you can see here revision 3. So this sheet had multiple revisions, and it's very important for you to adapt through the process. Okay, manage these goals, evolve those goals, and each phase has its own probably goals.
Okay, so the first step was to establish what is our goals.
The goals was mainly between us, and we started. The next step was to think about the people, how we start with the people.
Right. So one of the tools we used to engage the people and to get their engagement into the process was to do a pain mapping session. The pain mapping session involved all the team members, and we gathered them and asked them to provide us what are the good stuff today and what can we improve. So there was a long list. You can see a snapshot of the picture we took from the board, and there was a long list with great stuff. And the good stuff were that they are great people indeed. They had a good spirit. There was flexibility in the mindset and in the way of work. Good communication.
Good communication inside teams, maybe.
Inside the teams, of course. And they actually, it's their sentences, okay? So they ask, how can we improve? They says we need to deliver and quality ownership issues. They understand they don't have the enough ownership. They need to believe in delivery and in estimates. They say they have a lot of waste work. They say they don't have a good communication between the teams, and they don't plan enough. And not planning enough and not enough documentation. And once they put all these bullets into our awareness and into our plan, we can take that and encapsulate that into the plan itself.
Yes, and again, it was good to know after we are talking with them to see that they actually can see the problems. And after this session, we continued with I continued to gather the people, gather them in a conference room, and I wanted to set goals for them, okay? And I wanted them to pull into the process, to take those goals and make it their own, okay? And this is again actually this slide. I printed to them this exact slide with 3 goals that we chose, and spoke to them about the important phase that we're going to, the important process that we're going to go through. I wanted them to keep in mind those 3 goals through the process, and whenever there is a hard time or a need, they should remember those goals and they should guide them, even if I'm not there. So I believe
the delivery's quality is quite common.
Yeah.
What about the culture? What does it include in the goal you had in mind?
Yeah, so culture, of course, is not so obvious, but again, as I said, it's very important. And in culture, I mean good communication. Okay, I mean know when and how to raise flags. Okay, to the managers, about we are late on a delivery. Some were afraid of raising those flags.
No blaming games.
Yeah, blame games and awareness. Okay, awareness again about the big picture, sharing knowledge. Okay, it's also part of a company culture.
Clarity.
It relates to the roadmap, and of course, yes. So these were our goals. These were the goals I set for them.
And for the questions you put in the chat, yes, the session is recorded. Okay, so we see the questions, and you can go ahead and ask questions. We will put them. We will answer along the way. So
At the end, we'll answer.
And the end, okay, sure. And so the goal setting process was kind of a mindset change for the leaders. Okay, it was not an easy part. Also, we show you the goals. It took us some time to reach that goals and to prioritize them and to limit the goals, because Amir had more than 10 goals when we started, and we had to stretch it down to make it more focused. So the mindset change for the leaders, they need a learning session, a training session, a participant session. All of that require time.
From you.
From all the participants. Yes, from all the participants. One of the principle we use, less is more. Focus only on 3 goals. It's so important to focus on less versus more. We always want to take more, and we need to focus on less. This is increasing the focus and increasing our productivity. We also focused on the impact and the outcome, okay, not the action or the intent. Okay, and one of the examples that we want to start with the end in mind. For example, the 3 months goal was to establish a system to identify bugs, a safety net of identified bugs before they go into production. This was the 3 months goal, okay? And after 3 months, we succeeded to find bugs before they go into production. Not all the bugs, of course, but most of the bugs we succeeded. This allows the R&D to gain more confidence with what they are producing and developing. The 6 months goal was to start creating an automation for the different products they have in premise. Okay, so as you can see, we have 4 multiple 40 or 4 multiple 10. The 4 represent 4 different products, and the 10 represent 10 different test cases. So this was the goal for the 6 months automation for 10 scenarios for 4 different products. After all, we established the goals and we identified the goals. We had one big issue remaining. Do you have any idea what was the one big issue remaining before we can start with a plan? You can write it down in the chat.
We've been talking about goals, about the people. What is missing?
Tools, not the tools. Commitment to management. All right, indeed. No management buy-in. Thank you, Mark. You're awesome. Management was out of the picture. All right, they wasn't engaged to this plan. They only heard about it a little bit, and it was a big issue. Let's see how we move on from that.
Yeah. So as Oren said, we didn't have buy-in from the management. Of course, they were aware. They handed me over this problem, the department, of course, and they wanted it fixed, of course, but they weren't involved yet. So I want to tell you a bit about Primis and for you to understand what we were dealing with back then. And these are the growing pains, some of our growing pains back then. So we started as a startup. I think I joined when there were 30 people. Today we are close to 100. And we were as a startup, we had a few years of accelerated growth, a typical thing for startups. And things that were working before started to not working. And again, this is a common problem for startups. A few examples you can see here. These were some of our biggest pains that the business was defining the how. Okay, I'm not sure you understand, but I'll give a short example. The business, for example, business defined, they wanted a button. Okay, they wanted a green button. They stated that they want it here, specifically here in our platform, and there weren't any clear process. What is the limit between what they need to say about maybe why they need the feature and not the how?
There wasn't any why questions.
There wasn't any why. Or I mean, there was a why. It was in some people's minds, and it wasn't so clear.
It wasn't spoken.
It wasn't spoken. It wasn't clear to the R&D.
I remember I asked you to ask why again and again and again and again until
we are still asking why.
Yeah, good.
But this is an example for a process that were through all the business and relates, again, the business and product and R&D that wasn't so clear back then. About measurements and visibility. So again, as a small company, we knew exactly how we influence our customers. We didn't need any measurements. The deliverable was fast, and you know, customers were enjoying our products, and everything was wonderful. But when we got bigger, of course, so things.
Just reminding you that you didn't succeed to provide the ETA.
Of course, when we got bigger.
Yeah.
When we were small, everything was fast and clear.
Yeah.
So we had no measurements or visibility tools, okay, to use. And it was, again, some of our pains. And the last one, I've been talking about it, again, more developers, okay, the company is growing, more developers, more deliverables. And then we actually felt the missing ETAs and the production issues. And I can conclude that in this situation, okay, the management needs to get involved. Okay, it relates also to them.
All right. So management buy-in steps. This is one of the most important slides. So we map the current issues, the R&D issues, the business issues, the processes issues. We map it. I actually map it. We figure out there is a management stakeholder trust issues between the departments. They don't trust one another. There was lots of pains between them. If you can imagine, when I cannot provide you an ETA, or whenever I provide you an ETA and I'm not committed, or I'm not providing it in that date, then the trust goes down and down and down. For every ETA I provide you, you won't believe me. This was part of the issues. Roles and responsibilities caused a lot of issues because they weren't so...
The why and how.
The why and how also, they weren't so defined. There was lots of everybody's doing everything. So we needed to build delivery process and ownership. And inside that, we needed to have our goals. We decided which goals we want to encapsulate into the plan. So you can see the 4 goals or principles we wanted to have. One of them is agile concepts. The second was visibility. This is one of the main issues, the visibility. This is one of the main issues. The management buy-in got involved in that. We actually provided them visibility to the progress. They can see what's going on now, okay? And we provided the 3 goals Amir mentioned and took the goals into the plan. And last thing is measurement. We provided a means of measurements, what we want to measure, how we want to measure it. For the management buy-in, it was very important.
Okay, so this was in general the plan, and this is actually the main steps of the plan I took. So first, a lot of engagement with managers, the senior management in discussions. Okay, it's a classic mistake to think that presenting something to someone takes only one time. But in reality, I believe you all know it's wrong. And it took time. Okay, it took time.
More time.
It takes more time and multiple conversation with the management to explain what I'm going to do, what I'm already doing. Okay, it was in the middle of the process. On those sessions, on these discussions, I was trying to focus on goals that the CEO, the management, the senior management would align to. Okay, would be able to align with. Such goals are, again, provide visibility and measurements, whether it's graphs and dashboards, to see the progress and to see the process and what we are delivering properly. And again, I believe you're familiar with the saying of, if you can't measure it, it doesn't count. So it's really relevant here. And I wanted to explain that it's a wider problem of premise. As we spoke before, it's about a full process with the business that relates the business, the product, and the R&D. Okay, it's not only start and ends with R&D ETA. And it was, I can say that it was the heart of the change. I mean, through this process, if I'm looking back, to make people understand and make premise understand that this is the change, the heart of the change we are trying to do, was groundbreaking.
I can add that Amir actually believed in that plan. If he wasn't believing that plan, it wasn't succeed to pass the management. Okay, he had a good plan. He believed in it. He didn't know exactly how it's going to be, but he know it's a good pass He believe in it, and whenever the management see that he believes in the plan, they trust him.
Yes, and I can add that it's especially important when having a lot of pushbacks, as we had, okay, for me to believe in myself and to see the road that we're taking and the plan ahead. I really believed in that.
In my point of view, when we come to such a plan, we start with the end in mind. Okay, we provided AgileSparks case study for companies similar to Primis. How did it work? Did it succeed? How it succeed? Where they are today, and so on. This and we provided 2 or 3, if I'm not mistaken, 2 or 3 use cases, and this provided the management confidence that we AgileSparks can do it, and someone knows how to do it properly. Okay, this is one thing. We also explained that we are in the change process.
It takes time.
It takes time. It takes time to learn. It takes time to change. It's not happening in one day. We are after 1 year or so.
More
than 1 year.
Year and a half.
Year and a half. Okay. So also we explained sometimes people requires or leaving. Okay. Some of the people don't take this change as a positive approach. Some people take it as a negative approach. They say I cannot continue like that, and some of them were leaving. Usually it's not that problematic. Usually it refresh the company and provides new
blood
and new הזדמנויות. New possibilities for people and new seats and so on. We also set expectations. We explain that we need to slow down at the start, and then we can speed up later. This is one of the basic principles the management needs to understand, and we encapsulated that into the plan. Okay, we cannot learn and change and do a mindset change and still produce the same. It takes time to do it, and usually it reduces the efficiency of the work. We ask what can possibly go wrong. It's for sure not a perfect plan. We look at it in a realistic way. We look at the risks. We know how can we measure it, and this is one of the key issues in the plan. And we also explained.
We actually used the agile concept of dividing to small parts.
This is
also this process.
Yes.
So each phase has its own goals.
Exactly. We slice it to small pieces. The plan itself was sliced to small pieces, and that each one of the slices can be measurable and we can see how can we progress it. Even today, we go into the CEO, he wants to see the slice process, okay, where we are, how it's progressing, and so on. So we continue evolving and using the same method today. Last thing is that we continue experimenting, okay? It's a way of learning. So you need to make sure you learn along the way, not just use it as a blame game whenever you fail. Learn from it. Try to make it better, and make it and be proud of yourself along the way. This is usually encourage people to do it and
make it positive for them, for the people. I mean, it's a positive change. You always, I mean, this is one of the things that I said again and again. Okay, it's positive. Okay, we're evolving. We are learning new things, and it actually working. So here I want to talk about the most important things, the most important changes that the R&D did, okay, and it's important for mainly for the R&D managers in the of you. So the first point is about the structure. Okay, we did a few changes in the structure. We started from Scrum teams, and along the way we changed it to end-to-end teams, okay, to reduce cycles between disciplines. The QA and product were part of the teams at the beginning, but then today also they are as a separated team. Also, the structure is more flat today, okay? Less managers, okay? Every manager is an actual manager and not, actually most of them, not hands-on managers. And that way each one can focus on one thing and do it best. We adapt to agile ceremonies. We didn't have any before Oren AgileSparks introduced it to us. Okay, dailies, grooming, planning. Okay, it helps us keep organizing things and be prepared and see things ahead. Testing and quality. Quality is one of the 3 goals that I set, if you remember. So the department did a really big change with its mindset. Okay, quality mindset.
A huge change.
A huge change. It's called Shift Left. And of course, we wanted to give a push to our automations, regression testing that were done automatically. We're using Jenkins today. It takes time, but it's really important, again, to reduce bugs and increase the trust. Measurements, again, we need to measure everything. It's important, it's very important. Management buy-in and the business involvement, we've been spoken
we'll
before.
see some example. Yeah,
and again, it's very, very important. And again, think bigger about the processes, the lack of process. I mean, if you don't have the right processes, then you should think about it. Think about it as soon as possible at the beginning, if you can. We did it in terms of a long-term strategy, and we didn't have any quarterly roadmaps. Now we have. And these are the main points. I want to show you some examples. This is actually one of our dashboards in Jira. You can see the progress of one of our teams, whether it's the burn down, whether it's velocity. Okay, what comes in to the sprint should go out. Okay, you can see here the progress. You can see here that we are, when the teams set a goal for a sprint, they are handling it, and always I'm glad to see a growing graph.
By the way, one of the most important graphs here is on the right side, on the bottom right side. This is a trust or a commitment graph. Means that you can see here that on this sprint they had 100% commitment, meaning they took X and they actually delivered X. This is the same here and here, and somewhere it goes up again and again, and it's the same. It comes out from these same numbers. Okay, so because Amir actually told them one of the goals for each one of the teams is to deliver whatever you committed on 100%. This was his goal.
And this is how we achieve by the end of the day the ETA. Okay. Of course.
Exactly. So actually ask them, take how much you can, but whatever you take, you need to be able to complete it by the end of the sprint. It was a big challenge, by the way, at the start. And it took us some time, but you can see on the graph here that they actually achieved it along the way. And as long as it gets on the timeline, it even gets better because they now understand how they can improve themselves sprint after sprint when they're doing retrospective and so on.
Yeah, and we can learn from it. You can see here the average velocity. Next sprint, the team can look and don't take more than it usually can. So it helps us grow.
This starts from Amir's mindset, and once he's on the right mindset, he can deliver the mindset to his teams.
Yeah. And this is another example for the spreadsheet of our current quarterly roadmap. This is visible to all of the management team, the senior management, the CEO. And you can see here very clear what is working, what is still in progress, what's pending, on what's on product side. Okay, so you can see here that it's managed, and when it's managed, everyone can see what it works and what's not.
The business side.
Of course. Okay, things, as you probably understand, are much better and much more efficient and effective and planned now in Primis.
And predictable.
Predictable, right? But things are still, some things still in progress. These are some of them. Okay, we're still looking for people for the right seats, the right people for the right seats. It's a ever-ending story. Journey, yes, but I believe it's part of our industry. About automation, okay, I've said before, it is an important step in the plan, and it took time. Okay, it took us more time than I expected to adapt to Jenkins, the developers, to the shift left mindset.
By the way, would you go back today without automation?
No, it's an obvious question, but
okay.
Of course not.
I must ask it every time.
Okay.
It may be obvious to you, but not for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, we were back then based a lot of manual QAing, and developers weren't did their basic checks, the basic functionality checks, and it didn't work. It just didn't work. The last point is about knowledge person, and when we grew, when we were small, then people are doing everything, and developers are also product, and they all have it in their minds, and
unique knowledge.
And we want to move fast, and you don't want to waste time on documentations and design, proper design, and so on. So today we are facing those issues. Today we are using Confluence for documentation and trying to learn how to do it best through all the organization.
Just one comment. I see some of you write questions, so we answer all of them once we complete. It's
few slides away.
Few slides away, exactly. All right.
So these are my takeaways as an R&D manager for you. The most important one is get feedback. Okay, feedback along the way. Consult smarter people than you, or friends, or people like Oren and AgileSparks that have experience. And whoever you think worth consulting. Okay, it helps along the way. It helps build confidence. It helps. The management
making progress.
Yes, it does make exactly. Management buy-in. I think we're talking about it in every slide. So do it as soon as possible.
But be prepared.
And be prepared, yes. Invest in your teams, okay? Invest in the people. Invest in professional coach or training, and focus on your managers, okay? They should take the ball from you along the process and lead it themselves, okay? So it's very important for them to be involved, to lead at some point. And I remember that at the start, I went to every daily of every team. We have, back then we were 4 or 5 teams. So my schedule was crazy, but after a few months, no, weeks, months, I can't remember.
You got exhausted.
I got exhausted, but I felt confidence with my managers
All right.
to let them lead those meetings. Clear and measurable goals. We've been talking about it. You saw some of our dashboards and spreadsheets to manage those, manage this process. And last but not least, the culture. Okay, it's the base of the process. It's very important to have in mind what you want to achieve, what values it consists of, and you should speak and remember it along the way.
Okay, Agile Coach takeaways. As we mentioned, management buy is not an optional.
Feeling tired from this sentence.
Yeah. Make sure they're aligned, okay? Sometimes you think they're aligned, you're not sure they're aligned. Ask them what did they understand, okay? The change is a long journey. It's a long journey. Amir just mentioned 1.5 years we started it ago. Make sure you don't burn out, okay? It's very easy to burn out. You have lots of passion to do it fast and so on. Make sure you spend time on changing. You spend time on listening to people. You don't work too hard. We tend to work too hard. Awareness for that. Make sure everything, not make sure, just everything is changing. Make sure to spend time on learning. If I mentioned don't burn out, so spend time on learning. Amir spend time on new learning while there's lots of production issues, okay? He spent small time on learning. He didn't miss it. He was very passionate about the change, so he actually had a fixed time in his calendar. He didn't miss it, okay? The right people in the right seats. It's one of the most important principle. Don't take people if you're not sure about it completely. Okay, if you're not sure about the position or the people that fit the position completely, don't hire these people. Only hire the ones that fits completely in that position. That will give you so much capability to expand, to scale, to succeed. If you take the unperfect or not the right people for the right seat, it will be lots of issues you will have to manage, lots of time, lots of stress. If finally you will change that position. Okay, manage the change. Make sure you have a weekly change. Okay, Amir also have a weekly change every week. He asked me to come and track the weekly change and how can we do it? What can we change this week?
We were tracking our goals, mainly going through the spreadsheet and see what's working, what's not, what needs to be changed.
There was a huge spreadsheet with lots of issues, lots of tiny tasks along the weeks. We look at the big goals and we target to that goals, but there was lots of small actions items. We track it, we work on it. Make sure you pin this change along every week. Make a steering and retrospective sessions, okay? Steering is the one that's driving the change. This is me, Amir, other person who's driving the change.
Other leaders.
Other leaders. Okay, we do steering every week or every 2 weeks, depends on you, but stick with it. Okay, do retrospective every sprint. What did we what went good? What can we do to improve it? And so on. Don't forget the retro. It's every time it can be even better. Okay, and measure. Align the tools to adapt the change.
The
Because
Jira. What about the Jira?
align the Jira, provide plugins, do graphs, dashboards, and so on. First, decide what do you want to measure. Once you decided, go and implement it, and make sure you have the right dashboard to view it. That's all. It's not that complicated. It's doable. Take the right people for that, and so on. It's the last slide.
I think so.
All right. We're almost done. First thing is I wanted to share with you that everyone that's booked, registered, will get the recording session for today. So you will email that. And we have a couple of questions here. Let's review them.
We have a couple of minutes to answer questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. The first one is, how is SQA involved?
SQA.
I'm not sure what's SQA, but I guess it's kind of QA. How is QA involved in that? Eyal, okay.
They want to.
Uri Avram mentioned it. If you can expand what's SQA, we can answer that. Let's move on to the next question. Could you achieve to make business as partner instead on general consideration boss? All right. If I got the question right, is that he said the question is, would you look at the senior management as a partner or as a boss in the plan? If I got the questions right, okay. And I think we look at it as a partner because we come to the management, we share the plan, and we ask what they think. They sometimes provide us some kind of a guidance along the journey. They wanted that, they wanted this, and they want to expand in here, they want budget issue and so on, and concept issues, and lots of questions. They actually, sometimes they challenge us with
Of course.
does it the right path? Does it the right decision? How did you come to this decision? So we look at them as partners, okay? Sometimes they decide like a boss or other stuff, but for my part, they are completely partners.
Yeah, I believe, I mean, from my perspective, maybe you can call it a boss at the beginning when they are not involved and they're getting me the job of getting things work. But once we starting to get together and talk about it, and again, as Oren said, getting feedback from them about the process and get them involved, so they are completely were partners.
They are part of the plan, okay? If we look at them as part of the plan. By the way, Uri mentioned that SQA is software quality engineer, okay? So how is the software quality engineer involved? You would like to mention about the shift left part? It's part of the issue.
Yeah, I can answer. I mean,
before and after, maybe the test plans, concepts, and
okay. So before the change, we had a separate QA group, okay, that was responsible of testing, okay, basically all of the testing. I mean, it was most or part of the functional testing, and also they did regressions, and they were consist of some manual testers and some automation testers, but practically the automation we didn't use. So the manual QA testers were most impactful back then.
I can say that the QA mindset was about quality, while the development mindset was about development. This was the start.
Yes, this was the start, and it was really separated. It was part of our problems that were that they were too separated, okay? And through this process, we basically make them work together more, less giving a feature, passing a feature from one another. Okay, I developed the feature, now someone should check it. I mentioned the ownership, okay, see the end goal, the end delivery from the developer perspective. So it relates to that. And through this process, we achieved more communication, more faster round trip between QA, circle time, round trip, okay, between the QA and the developers. And that way we achieved quality.
I want to add to Amir. One of the major issues here was about the mindset of the development. The mindset of the development was about developing. They didn't come here to test anything, okay? One of the changes Amir done was to change their mind that they are owning the quality of the development.
Yeah, one scary phrase for the developers at the beginning was test plan. Okay,
yes, exactly.
They were very afraid of a test plan. Okay, test plan shouldn't be more than a few sentences of what we should test, and it can be very practical and short, but it was a big issue at the beginning.
And after some time, it took some sessions, it took why we're doing it. We showed them graphs and cycle time and so on. They realized that we wanted them to increase the quality of their code. So one of the issues they started is to start testing their codes. It was starting with unit testing and then started with some other automations and so on. And along the way, we also encourage them to do a test plan. So every user story it's done on development is actually, the test plan is actually done by the developer itself. So this was a big, huge issue here, and not just here, and at every company. And it's actually succeeded. Not always it succeeds, sometimes more or less, because it's a huge step towards quality. And this actually it allows Primis to have a way more faster development phase, because if the development's finding his bugs and fix them by himself, you don't have to rebuild it, you don't have to put a build for QA, you don't have to wait for the QA, you don't have wait for the QA to open the bug, to verify the bugs. He's actually performing all this round by himself. And as a result, the amount of bugs that found were reduced, and also in development, also in production. This was the start of the safety net we mentioned.
Last question, maybe.
How did the team embrace the utilization of Jira as a platform and the concept in general of having multiple touch points to discuss, plan, etc.? Well, they worked with Jira before that.
Yeah, we worked with Jira. There were sprints before, okay, three weeks sprints.
I want to mention that.
But look, there was something missing there. Okay, something was missing, and it was the product perspective, the business perspective. Okay, the grooming meetings were very important for us to evolve. Okay, because that way developers practice the business. They hear about why someone needs this feature. They felt more evolved with the company, and they actually needed it. Okay.
And also, sometimes you feel like you work for the management, okay, when you're using Jira. Sometimes. in many companies, I hear that. It's for the management and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, once we come in with a plan, it wasn't for the management, it's for the team. It was for ourselves. We didn't have to show it for everyone. Okay, of course, we have dashboards. Of course, Amir's look at the velocity and the productivity and so on, but it was eventually for the team themselves. And if something is not working for the teams, we reduce it if there's no point of working for that. And one of the principles we use in here is don't work for the tool, okay? And I always say it for the people and for Amir, don't work for the tool. We don't work for Jira, okay? We don't need to update when we started, when we completed, and call log work and so on and so on. We use Jira for our purposes, to be able to succeed with our commitment. Once we succeed, we feel good. That's all. That's the most basic principle.
And the feeling is good today. I mean, I can say from the developer's perspective that you can sense today their feelings.
All right, one question I wanted to, one last question that is about how could we move from intentional architecture to emergent architecture. So emergent architecture is all about slicing, okay? It's all about slicing. We have that challenge every day. Slicing is hard. Good slicing with a value to the business is hard. Okay, you have to slice it lean all the way to the infrastructure. Okay, this is the way. The key is in the grooming or the discovery. The key is by preparing your slicing properly. Once you do it properly, everybody will align to that kind of way of working. This is how you can achieve emerging design. That's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Oren.
Thank you, Amir. And as we mentioned, you got it you got the recording in the emails. And stay safe. Thank you.